Have you been overwhelmed with technology? All the different things that you need to know. You need to know cookbooks and Facebooks and tunnels and funnels and all these different types of things that we hear about. And it is such a learning curve. And as an entrepreneur, sometimes we just get overwhelmed with that. And we know we need help. We know we need help, but you're not really sure how to go about and get it. And one of the other things we know is which type of these technologies do we need to do for our marketing to get us where we want to go. Well, sit back because I have Toni Kaufman with us with KDDM. She is going to share with us how to actually get the help that you need, what the thought process is behind having a virtual assistant, and some of the ways that she's helped people in their process, in their business, in order to allow them to free them up to use their genius. So Toni, I'm so excited that you're here with us. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Cynthia. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with our viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Toni is the CEO of KDDM, which is a marketing company and also a technology company. And something you might not know about Toni, she can teach anyone tech. And you know how I know that? Because she helped the first President Bush with his tech needs when he moved back to Texas. And so she has some funny things that she knows about President Bush, and maybe we'll get her to tell us a story or two. And she's also, in addition to that, been in casting and production since the 1970s. So one of the things that entrepreneurs really need these days is our ability to create an authority for ourselves so we can be looked at as that go-to expert. And so she's going to share some of the technology and some of the ways that she's assisted entrepreneurs to condense that time frame for becoming the authority that you already are. But now you just have to be able to let everyone else know, and you need to know how to get help. So Toni, thanks for being with us, and let's just jump right in. So what is the thought process about using virtual assistants? How do we know when we've gotten to that point that we really need to bring on somebody else? Yeah, that's a good start.
That's a good start. Well, to be real honest with you, we are in such a fast-moving, fast-paced world that it's so hard to keep up with things. And by the time you're finished with step number 1, you're already supposed to be in step number 14. And sometimes we just can't do it all. And for example, I hated the fact when I first got into this world of speakers, authors, healers, coaches, and entrepreneurs, I hated the fact that I needed to know which software tools I had to buy to invest in to get to where I wanted to be in terms of speaking and being heard and being on stages and all that kind of thing. So the words, I'm going to just throw these out at you and tell you if something, I'm going to throw them out, and if something sticks to the wall, you stop me. Kajabi, Thinkific, ClickFunnels, Infusionsoft. I mean, I'm
already dizzy.
And I haven't even started with some of the newer ones.
Yes.
But ClickFunnels is experimenting and going off into doing the same thing in Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft is going out and doing some other things. And then we've also got, Kartra, WordPress engine, marketing WordPress engine. I can keep going on and on and on.
Please don't. Yeah.
What ends up happening is that people end up buying 2 and 3 and 4 things that do the same thing, and then wondering why they're spending $3, $4, $5, $1,000 a month on software that's supposed to be working for them, not the other way around.
Right.
And it takes them forever to do that because that's not what you're good at.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've dedicated, over the past 2.5 years, I've dedicated a team of young millennials that I have brought onto the company. And Jane Power says it best. I love working with Toni because I tell her to do something and she goes, okay, I'm going to get this person to do it, and this person to do it, and this person will be on your team, and we'll all get together and we'll meet in your room. And she's like, I want to grow up to be just like that. So the reality is, yes, I have created a team of what I call virtual experts for you, so that you don't have to learn how to do Infusionsoft. If you don't want to, learn the CEO version of each one of those things. That's a 30,000-foot view.
Right.
Know what these tools are for. And then some of these tools, quite honestly, I refer to them as killing a fly with a sledgehammer. Because unless you've got 20,000 people on your list, you really don't need some of these, and you're throwing away $300 a month or more.
Right. So how does an entrepreneur know So we all know that we need certain technologies. We need some type of contact management. We need some type of opt-in pages. We need websites. We need calendars. We need obviously content creation software. How do we know when to make that leap to, because a lot of people are solopreneurs that are on here in the summit. How do we know when we need to make that leap to, okay, I need to have some competence in this technology? Where's that difference between I need the competence and now it's overwhelming me and I need to actually have somebody do it? What's the thought process to coming up with that decision, Toni?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dr. Cynthia, because all of us have been at that level with something, wondering, am I using the right tool? Am I wasting money on this? Am I actually being able to work on this? And the answer is yes to all of them. But it's nice to have someone like me that you can get onto a phone call with me or a Zoom room with me and say, this is what I want to do, this is where I'm at, and this is what I need to do. How do I get there in 30 days, not 90 days, not 60, how do I get there the fastest? If I'm trying to create something at the end of this project, that at the end of this will give me a bigger list, will let me sell some of my programs, will let me sell some of my courses, or will book me onto a stage, what's the best and fastest path to cash? And I do that with friends and clients. And I say that because not every person that I do that with becomes a client, but I'm happy to help. I create what we call a mind mapping of your business, and we understand where the middle circle is and where all the little satellites are supposed to be. And each little satellite may be a way to bring some cash into your company, whether it's a course or a 3-day live event or a webinar or a 1-day live event. Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve at the end of each break in your year, that's what the project is, and we should be helping you with. Unless you are an expert at everything and you don't need any help, you're fine. But I don't know very many of us that can do it all by ourselves.
So how would I know as an entrepreneur when it's too much? Because I think what happens is a lot of entrepreneurs get confused about, it sounds like in our minds, well, if I get a virtual assistant, I don't know if I have enough work to keep them busy. Then I have to think about how to train them to do what I want them to do. And so then I'm spending my time thinking about what to have them do, and then spending my time thinking and actually doing the training. So peel that away for us.
I'll just use myself as a guinea pig. My email, and I have 3 shooting into the one basket, right? My email runs between 30 and 50,000 unread weekly.
What?
So, yeah, 30 to 50,000 unread weekly. Yeah, that's what I said. It's gotten to where if I want to find something that I know is coming from you, I just need to search for you, because it's hopeless to go down the list.
Wow.
So I've started, as a matter of fact, this last month, I turned that over to a VA of my own, a personal assistant, to go through and pull out, number one, the people who I consider important, yourself, Melody, people I work with, programs I'm in, homework that I haven't done, diets that I haven't kept. So I really, and more important than anything is bookings that I have to keep, trips that I have to take. So I'm just giving you an example of things that I have narrowed down and created my list of 10 most important things I need to deal with. Because
Right.
a lot of these will cost me more if I don't book it now than if I book it 10 days from now, right? Airplane tickets, anything that you've committed to, that should be on your first top 10 list. That's what we search for. Programs that you have to keep, your own calendar.
Mm-hmm.
I find that keeping the Google and the Outlook and the, I can go on and on. People have 4 and 5, the iTunes, the iCloud, all the calendars that we've got, let's bring them all into one, and let's see what exactly is the overlap, because there has been a lot of overlap for a lot of my clients who have 2 or 3 calendars going, and they're just, the perfect word for that, Dr. Cynthia, is they are spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, and they stop. The chair stops on whoever is the noisiest at the moment.
Yes. Boy,
right?
that is definitely true. Well, Toni, you gave me a couple of really good examples of where people can use use an assistant. So you said in terms of a inbox and then getting your calendars. What are some other examples of when? Well, just like we're going to talk about one specific example later on, but what are some other examples that people have used VAs effectively, particularly when people are beginning to just like dip their toe into the idea of using a VA? What are some simple ways?
One of the very basic elements to becoming a successful speaker, author, healer, coach is your list.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people they've been on social media for a year, 2 years, have no idea that they have 300 or 400 people on that list.
Mm-hmm.
How do you generate the list from your LinkedIn? The first time I looked at my LinkedIn, I had 7,500 people there.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, so how do I export that list and then clean it up and then put it into a program that would be my CRM, my contact resource management system. And that list will have to be introduced to my world. In other words, our very first email we have to send them is, do I have your permission to email you? They're going to say yes or no.
Yeah.
So 7,500 became 5,800. The 5,800 over the course of 8 or 10 months became 3,700. So now those 3,700 have told me, yes, I want your emails. Yes, I'm interested in what you're doing. Yes, send me more things that are in this world, because that's where I'm going when I retire. So that's kind of been my push is to help baby boomers, and that's what my book's about, to help baby boomers decide whether they want to be a mentor or an entrepreneur. And once they decide on those, then how to do it. And so the list generation.
List building. Okay. And same thing with Facebook. You can show people how to get actually people to be on your list from Facebook.
Right. And nurture the list. Absolutely. Yeah. Nurture the list. And then there's one more thing that I've added on, which is, when people, for example, I was in New York over the past 4 days, and people were saying, well, do you have a card? Do you have a card? And, I wish I had one handy, and of course, Plumber's House here, but I have a card that on the back, it doesn't have my phone number. It doesn't have my email. You know what it says? It says text to 474747, the word Toni, Toni. That's all it says on the back. The front is the picture of my TV and radio show. And the back says, do that. When they do that, and I literally stood by them and watched them do it. And then I know this, the moment they click on that link, they get my entire landing page that says, do you want to book a meeting? Do you want to book an appointment? Do you want to do one of the 3 things that I offer, including the mind mapping session, which is complimentary? Do you want to get into one of my courses? I've got 2 courses there. So my Acuity scheduler has all of the choices that they can do to join me if they really want to meet me, know me, or even be a guest on my show. It's all there.
And so do they also get your contact information when they do that?
Yep. They get a thank you letter back for just doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's awesome.
How easy can that be, right? And not only that, I know that they're not going to grab that card and throw it away because they didn't know I don't remember who I was. Now they got me on their phone. So that's called easy texting. And so that's the third component to list generation and list building. Now, once you've decided as a brand new entrepreneur that we're going to build your list and nurture your list, the next step is to have what they call a lead magnet. Now that is so funny because when I first got into this whole realm, I was just baffled by what can I give away that people would want. And it's so funny because it's such a simple answer. You would give away a roadmap, 6 steps to achieving this based on what you teach. You would give away, something that was totally silly that I created was I created a timeline of my life with on the back end of a speaker bio. So they would know everything about me, where I've been, ABC, CBS, NBC, Univision, Telemundo, everywhere that I've ever worked, and any productions I've ever cast or directed or produced, including the Latin Grammys, things like that. I had it all on one side and my timeline on the other. And this is kind of funny because it takes you through the good points of my life versus the bad ones.
Right.
And so that became one of my most popular lead magnets. People want to have a copy of that. And so isn't it
Who'd have
funny?
thunk? Yeah, that's awesome.
Who'd have thunk it?
Who'd have thunk?
So that's become important. And then we have, one of my team members did, the road to social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was done probably a year. We've probably given, I'm going to say, between 500 and 600 of those have been popular lead magnets.
Mm.
Because people who are just getting into this are sitting here going, well, I hear that Facebook is not going to be as important as Instagram, and I hear that Instagram is not as important as Snapchat, and we just kind of break it down.
Yeah.
And so, and I always get the number one question is, do you like LinkedIn? Isn't that weird?
Really? That's,
Yeah,
well, it's interesting. We, on the last summit I did, we had somebody that went over LinkedIn, and it's an
I love it.
incredibly powerful platform. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's always been my number one. If
Yeah.
you don't if you don't make sure that anything else looks good on your profile,
Hmm.
please LinkedIn one.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard the power of it. I've always used the power of it. I mean, that's where I got. I had probably by the end of a 10-year tenure of teaching computers. I was a Microsoft technical evangelist. I got to speak at many, many conferences. To this day, I still attend the CES, which used to be called Comdex. Now it's the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas because I'm a gadget person. I
Mhm.
still love all that stuff.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, a lot of those people who were in my LinkedIn list were my ex-students. I have probably 15,000 ex-students
Yeah.
from here to Calgary, from Houston to Calgary. And because I did that much work in computers at that time, and that's how I got appointed, by the way, to become President Bush's the lead for his transition team to bring them home.
Nice. Nice.
Right, and that's another story that I call "You Never Know Who's Watching."
Yes. Right. Yeah, that's true. So one of the other areas that I know that with the virtual assistants is that you can help, like you did with President Bush, you can actually help people train them on what they need to know about the technology and do that one-on-one, which is so much faster than if you try to watch a video on this element of it, then another video on that element, you get kind of lost. So you offer that as well.
Yes, I do. And what's funny is I was on the women's entrepreneur show a couple of months ago, and they had me talk about nothing but shortcut keys.
Mm.
And for Windows, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, did you know that there's over 30 shortcut keys that work on all 4 platforms?
No.
And most of all, which is like everything, Windows programs.
Do you have
So
a lead magnet for that,
I
Tony?
do. I have
I want that.
I
You weren't planning on that, but we're going to include that in the gift from Tony.
I'm happy to do that. I've made them into little bookmarks. So you have
Nice.
the Windows, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint bookmarks. You just cut them
Brilliant.
up, print them, cut them up, have them. so
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
there's so many ways to really implement some of this stuff. For example, did you know that if you can't, one of my students was always hiding her screens behind others and thought that, oh, I have to start my machine again every time because I don't know where it went. Did you know that Alt tab, if you put your thumb on the Alt and hold it down and you press the tab, your entire, everything you've got open since whenever, you may end up looking at 200 windows, but everything
Right.
you've ever had open will pop up, and you just basically tab till you get to the window you want. And when you let go, that's the window that pops up.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, so those kinds of things I know. So you can help people with list building. You can help them, which includes the lead magnets, which includes their Facebook, which includes working on the LinkedIn. You can do the easy texting, which I think is really off. And you also do training. What are some of the other ways that entrepreneurs have made their life easier without having to work too hard and trying to overthink how to use it? What are some other ways?
Well, I'm so glad you asked because, creating your leads, now what are you going to do for them? Are you going
Yes.
to have constant, content into your social media? Are you going to drip ads to them? Are you going to drip content? Are
Yeah.
you going, what I did when I was first getting started, and this was probably 3 years ago, on LinkedIn, I started writing an article. Like every 6 months, I'd put in another article. And just last 2 months ago, I went back to each one of those articles and rewrote them, updated,
Mm, nice.
and they got published again. And I got another 300-400 hits on the same article, but now it's updated.
Yeah.
So you can also add little videos,
Yeah.
and I love adding videos. And it's funny, I'm the plumber's house. I actually do much better behind the camera than I do in front of the camera. I'm one of those. But I love helping people create their videos, and I love watching them have massive success, and I love seeing them bloom. I had a lady at basically, we were at Carnegie Hall, by the way, for the last 4 days, and I had a lady come up to me, and after 3 days, uh, she was a doctor as well, not a chiropractor though,
Too
but
bad.
she came up to me and she says, "Would you take me on as your student?" And I said, "Of course, but what would you like?" She says, "I want to dress like you. I want to learn how to dress like you." And I thought for a second, I don't have a course on that.
Course number 300.
Yeah, no. And I thought to myself, it's so funny because I never thought of that. But yes, and you know what? You're the one that came into my mind right away because you do that 7 seconds, the talk that you do. And I thought, man, if you really want this, I can turn you on to 2 or 3 people, and then you're going to fly down from New York to Houston, and we're going to go to Austin, and you're going to get everything you need, hair, makeup, everything you want, and then we're going to find out which outfits best suit you.
Right.
And so that was I kind of put together something on the spot for her to come down to Texas for 3 days, and we're going to just dedicate it to her and getting her who would have thought, right?
Yeah, who would have thought? So content, because that is where a lot of entrepreneurs struggle, is in the content creation. And I love your idea about doing videos. And you are really good at videos too, aren't you? Where do you see that for an entrepreneur, and how can they overcome that area of the technology?
And you know what? It's really simple. You and I are sitting here on Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we
What
are.
could be easier than Zoom? And Zoom also has a webinar, and Zoom also has a conference room, and Zoom also has the ability to bring in conference phones. So this is a tool that, for the price, you can't beat it. I
Yes.
mean, I used to work on Webinar Jam. I used to do Webinars to Go. I used to, I've worked on a bunch of other ones, but nothing has been as easy as Zoom. And I'm sure something will come in and take its place in the next 2 years. But right now, this is a great tool because it lets you align yourself. And by the way, there's just a couple of settings that I need to make sure that anyone who wants to do recording on Zoom does it. If you're going to take this interview and turn it into an episode on a TV show or something that you want,
Yes.
with a bumper, with the intro and the outro and the
Right.
video in the middle, and turn it into a real episode on something. So one of those settings, and I'm going to give this away for free. Okay, one of those settings is your frames per second. All right.
Mm-hmm.
In the advanced settings of Zoom, your frames per second should be in the 23 category. It's 23.68, something like that. But there's a 20 and there's a 30 and there's a 23. Click on the 23. That's what you want if you're going to turn this into if you're going to video edit it.
Okay. Right.
The other setting is the aspect ratio. Okay, so just like in TV, you remember when we went from the squares to the rectangles?
Yeah.
Okay. The aspect ratio of this recording should have been, or should be, at like the 1080, the 1080p.
Right.
All right. I'm hearing a lot of people who are in the broadcast world say we want 4K, 4K, 4K.
Right.
The difference in recording on 1080p, which is okay for right now, or 4K, of course, is going to be how many dots per inch. It's going to be much clearer. You've seen the TDs. You've done the side-by-side and Best Buy comparison. What I need to tell you, though, is that if you have a little camera or a phone, because the iPhone 8 and on can all record in 4K. All Samsungs can record in 4K. But here's the catch. I had a little 64 meg card the little SD cards. I
Hmm.
put it in the back of one of my cameras. And I said, okay, we're going to record these many episodes. And we were actually recording in Phoenix. And I recorded basically in one day. I had probably 8 people show up to do a live, side by side interview kind of a show. That one little card, 64 megs, lasted me all day.
Nice.
Okay. Then I took the same exact camera and turned it to 4K and said,
Hmm.
let's record that. The 64 meg card lasted me 1 hour.
Wow. That's a big difference, isn't
That's
it? Yeah.
different. I would have needed a 64 card for every
Every
single.
single one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, so we're developing the content. One of the things that I have experienced and I continue to experience as an entrepreneur is, yeah, I've got lots of video of me on stage and speaking and courses and interviews, but I don't have any editing skills. And I don't really know what to do with all of this kind of rough draft content. Is that something also that a virtual assistant could help us with to do that
Absolutely.
editing?
In our company, yes, because we have specifically video editors in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm laughing because I have and I'm going to brag a little bit here. I have a granddaughter who's level 9 gymnastics, and which means that now she's going to the nationals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going from Austin to Seattle to Connecticut to all of these national finals. And she is 13, and she video edited the entire trip, all her friends competing and all the awards, and put a little show together for every day for 3 days of
Wow.
everything they did. And I'm sitting there going, all right, guys, if the 13-year-old is doing this,
Yes.
oh my gosh. I mean, I know that they're saying that it's easy to do, but Cynthia, I don't have time. I just don't have
Right.
time for that.
Yeah.
I want to give
And
you
yet the outcome could be so awesome,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, I think probably most entrepreneurs have an entire library of videoed content, but it's all rough and there's no like cool intro, outro. There's bloopers in it. There's not all the things that
yeah.
the subtleties that actually the devil's in the details that turn it into something fabulous that's worth
Well,
watching.
let's go into what can you do with that, because repurposing video to me is God. I mean,
Right.
you have to do that. Number one, every speaker, everyone who wants to go up on a stage is going to need what they call a sizzle reel.
Yes.
Okay, a sizzle reel is 30 seconds to 2 minutes max, and it shows you, running up to the stage, doing high fives to everybody as you go up there. It shows you with the mic, over your shoulder shots where you've got all the audience leaning in. That's a sizzle reel, something that's going to make you sound so exciting that they have to listen. And the main purpose of that reel is so that you can get the introduction that you deserve.
Right.
Because most MCs are so into themselves that they are willing to say, okay, and now my friend Dr. Cynthia, and then that's all the intro you get.
Right.
Right? So this way you can impress onto the crowd what you're the authority at, what you're the go-to expert at, why they should listen to you, and they better stop and listen because you're worth it. That's what a sizzle reel does. There's also an intro reel, something that introduces you at a much more professional level, that tells them who you are and all of that. But more important, it's more like a mini
Right.
documentary, right? So that's what I call an intro reel. And then we have something called your movement reel. Okay, your movement is, for example, my movement right now is what my book is. It's The American Dream is Dead. The movement is that we have 45 million baby boomers who are going to be out of a job, or already are out of a job, laid off, fired, or separated from their jobs. And in the next 5 years, there's going to be 68 million. What are we going to do?
Right.
So that's my
What
movement.
do we do, Toni?
Yeah. So that's what my movement is. I have a client who is an ex-retired Air Force officer, and her movement is to help veterans with PTSD come to her place, which is called Safe Harbor. Safe Harbor is a 3-day live event where she brings in employers and vets, and they basically get to know each other, play games the whole time, understand who they are, and maybe even get a job out of it.
So I get that. So that's like a movement. So it's not necessarily your business, but it's something that you are excited about. So I love that. So you've got three different types of reels. You've got the sizzle reel, the intro reel, and the movement. See, when you said movement, I was thinking like movement. No, you're thinking like it's a mission and a movement. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because so many of us, especially this group of people, the speakers, authors, healers, coaches, have come from a lifetime of work and dedication and career and are now looking for, the way Jay Facette puts it is, what would you do for free that you would love doing it?
Yeah.
That's part one, right? And then part two is, what would people pay you to do that you would do for free?
Right. Yeah. You need that both.
Yeah, that
Most of
part,
us
that
do.
Venn diagram, that part in the middle is the part that comes together, and I think that's where I found my space in this entire industry, is helping folks get to what they want to do and how they want to do it, and at the same time create the fastest path to cash so that they're not strapped too long while they're
Right.
doing this. Because this is a very different kind of business. It's not a widgets business. It's a feeling, it's a love, it's a woo woo. I'm trying to do this because there's so many people getting breast cancer, or there's so many people doing this. So the movements are all there for so many of our clients, and
Right.
and I love being a part of it.
Yeah, I love that. And then you're taking, yeah, you're taking what they put out and then you're editing it in a way that's allowing them their brilliance to shine so that you can then draw people to their movement. Yeah, so then you take those reels, the various reels, and you magically put them together in a way that's compelling, that would have the audience want to join that movement, which is, the beautiful combo of the I can make money and I do something I'm passionate.
Right. I call it video or PowerPoint in haiku method. In other words, I hate too many words on a slide. I hate too many words in a sentence. I really like the feeling that a picture brings you. And a movement video can do that so well if it's done right. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of one of my favorite kinds of edits to do, or videos to do, is to help people with their movements.
Nice. Yeah. So, and how much, so what does that entail? Like if, let's say, for example, I'm doing this summit right now. What would be involved if I sent you some of these raw clips, and how would you edit that to go on to, say, a television network?
Excellent question. Okay, so I just happen to have a television network handy, all right, that we are very excited about. So here's what I would do is, the first thing we need to do is think in terms of an episode in a show. So a show has, you have a channel, you have a show, and your show has so many episodes. So I've seen some episodic television series that have 6 episodes. I've seen some that have 12 and 13. And then I've seen, like in the case of Supernatural, they've got 26 episodes for one season, right? So depending on how many interviews you are getting through your summit, this is the fastest way for us to produce television quality episodes. So what's needed is an opening and an ending. Some people call it a donut, some people call it a bumper. It's an intro and an outro. And so on the intro, you'd have the music, the logo, the design, your picture, whatever makes it exciting, so that people can just segue right into, and today's show we're featuring, right?
Right.
And so that's specifically why when I direct a summit for a client, I'll make sure that they don't say 2 things. One is, don't give me any days, times, or months, because
Right.
it should be evergreen, right?
Yes.
So, hi, welcome to my show. You're not going to say, oh, golly, it's Tuesday and it's great and you're the last one of the day. Don't say any of that. The second thing that I do, this is kind of one of my pet peeves, is you don't say, and we're back,
Right.
because they didn't go anywhere.
Right.
Okay, so if back to the thought process. The thought process is, we're in a project, and the project gets managed, and the project has milestones, and the project has, all the key indicators that it's going on time. So tying it back to the virtual assistant is the project manager for you.
Right.
So they can be the person who does it. For example, I have 3 people that can act as producers for the show, which means that they would cat wrangle. They would get all your guests. They would fill out the forms. They would make sure they have the VIP gifts and the attendee gifts and the headshot links and everything that you need to pull this out together. We make sure that's all done for you. Second, we make sure that you know every single one of your guests very well, so that we don't ever walk into an episode and go, "Hi, Dr. Cynthia,
What's your name?
where are you at? And why are you so special that you're on my show?"
Right.
You know, like, oh my God, just shoot me, please. So by the
Happens.
time it does happen, and it happens way too often, but that tells me that they're a lazy host. They
Yeah.
should have already known this about their guests. And so that's what makes someone, I mean, Oprah is an incredible host, Ellen, an incredible host, because they have all of that work before and after. Same thing on the Tonight shows, that kind of
Yes.
thing. The host is the star, and you should know everything, and you should know how to approach them as well. So that's kind of what we're asking. We help people do when we produce summits, and then of course the editing comes in at the end, and then the uploading of the shows to your TV show comes in
Right.
actually third place.
Yeah. All right. So we've had a lot of different ways that a virtual assistant can make our lives easier. You mentioned you could have the list building, both the actual creation of it and then the nurturing of it. You could, with Facebook and with LinkedIn, you mentioned the easy texting. So when you're in a situation, I love that, where you don't have a card, you just say text this and you grab all their information, and then they get to see what you have available. That's brilliant. And then you talked about lead magnets, how you have that roadmap to authority, which bam, you're gonna hit it, give to us. And then you did the videos, like the different kind of videos, the sizzle reel, the intro, and the movement, and now the summits, and be able to take those and put those onto a television station. I'm imagining you would also be able to put that onto a YouTube channel as well.
Oh, it actually goes into the YouTube first, so that we can have the feed going from your YouTube up there.
Ah, nice.
So a lot of these summits are offering that when somebody upgrades, for example, to a VIP, they're going to get lifetime access to the videos plus lifetime access to the VIP gifts, that kind of thing, or at least a limited time access. As soon as that's done, whether it's 90 days from now or 6 months from now, when you're ready to start shooting those episodes up to your TV channel, then we do what I call a Monday drip. Every Monday, we relaunch that episode. You relaunch the whole thing. Now you put it on Facebook saying, "Dr. Cynthia is going to be on my show next Monday. This is who she is. You got to watch it." And then they go back to your channel. So the magic word here is repurposing your videos over and over.
I
and
love
over.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
Totally. Repurpose everything, because it's a lot of work to create content.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you saw it done. You and I met on something that was very fabulous. We'll call the Marketers Cruise.
Yes.
And if you remember, I was shooting and directing the documentary of 2 of our very favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
Jake Bassett and Iman, a guy. And so all of that video has now been created into a documentary. But you know what? I've seen him use it on so many of his new things that he's launching this year.
Yes.
I see pieces of it used here, pieces of it used there. And that really is what makes it so valuable, is that you can use it over and over again, and it's still just as popular and as powerful as it was the day we shot it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you can chop it up and redo it, and like so many wonderful things with that. And so the virtual assistant can help orchestrate that, or I'm imagining you can have some virtual assistants that have some rudimentary editing skills as well, which some of your millennials have.
Yes. It comes natural to them, much more natural than to me. But
yeah,
I do have that. And what's funny is that the one thing that they have all taught me is that as a baby boomer, I'm forever falling for clickbait. And they'll walk up and don't click on that, it's clickbait. And I'm like, "What's clickbait? It sounds interesting." And they're like, "No, don't do it, don't do it." So they're
Yeah.
teaching me a whole lot as well.
Yeah, they're more discerning than we are. So if we could just recap, I want to know the strategic thinking again of when and why an entrepreneur should say, "Hey, I want to go and get some help on this." Past their own awareness, and in that catch-22, I don't want to pay for it, and yet I'm losing money by not doing it. So
Yeah.
give us that strategic thinking again.
You have things you have to do to be successful. One of them is funnels. The whole world seems to revolve around funnels. So are you going to take yourself and learn, the 7 or 8 funnel programs that are out there, or the 1, 2, 3 most popular ones that are out there? Or you're going to say, you know what, Tony, I have to get this email out. And when this email goes out, I want a link on there. I want a hyperlink so that when they click on it, it takes them to my funnel and they register for 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Or they agree to watch a webinar, or they agree to attend my summit, or they agree to come to my live event.
Yeah.
So at the end of every speaker's rainbow is webinar, summit, or 3-day live event. All right. That seems to be where everything goes.
Or strategy call.
And well, that's where it starts. You're right.
Yeah.
So that's where you want to take folks to talk to you. Because the most important thing that you can figure out in the first 15 minutes of our conversation is whether you like me enough to work for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's where and that's why I tell people, don't your opening calls 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, they'll know if you're a good fit or not.
Yeah.
And if it's not, you know what, it's okay. God bless you, and next, right?
Yeah.
And if it is, then let's figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish, how quickly you're trying to accomplish it, what tools should we use to get you there, and then let's see what we can help you with. Swipe copy, editorials, social media content drips, creating all of these wonderful video events. So whatever it is that leads you there, you can rest assured that you've got a team behind you that's doing it.
Yeah. And Toni, how do people get their tasks in order to know what to then hand off to a virtual assistant?
We just happen to have a bunch of standard operating procedures being created for each project, for each task, and for each event. And so we have a team that works on that. Jordan Bakary, our VP of Client Fulfillment, just poked his head in and said, "Don't forget delegation. You have to delegate."
Yes.
Yes. And sometimes you've just been trying to do everything by yourself so long that it's got you spinning again. Yeah. And that's when you stop. That's when you start losing money, is when you're spinning. So at some time you just need to stop and say, do you have help for this? Can you do this? How many hours? How much would it take? And to tell you the truth, part of my gift to you for having me on here is I'm giving away 10 free hours over the course of 90 days.
Wow.
That they can use. That's
awesome.
$250.
Yeah.
They can use just to see if it feels right.
Yeah.
We normally ask, we sell them in packages. There's packages of 20 hours, 40 hours, 80 hours. And of course, the more hours you get, the less expensive it gets.
Right.
But 20 hours a month is what I'm asking for minimum. It's really, it's 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
We should be able to do that. And we really like working with folks. So that's what I would encourage people to do, is just test the waters, put your toe in.
See if it works. You've got 10 hours to make that decision with Toni. That's a very generous offer, Toni. I really appreciate that, because I know that you help people with summits. You help people with all the other things that we talked about. So if they could just get in there, that's a beautiful gift. And thank you for doing that. So any final words for our group to encourage them and let them know how best to use your services?
Oh my God, don't be afraid. Everybody has such, especially in this field, speakers, authors, healers, coaches, you have something that is altruistic, that is good, that has a servant mentality. You can't go wrong with bringing value to your clients. Bring value, and that will make sure that you're successful. I mean, it's 1 + 1 = 2. Have the right mindset, bring value. Don't be afraid to step out and put your toe in the water.
Absolutely. Well, put your toe in with getting that gift. All you have to do is click on the free gift below in the software, and it'll immediately take you in. And she's also going to give you the Roadmap to Authority little template that she's got, which will be also of value because, as we know, having stage authority, whatever your stage is crucial in order for you to be successful.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks again, Toni.
Thank you. Hasta luego.